Welcome back to another video. My name is Dan Becker. Today's a little bit different of a video because sort of a rant, a little bit. I wanted to talk about some things that drive me absolutely nuts, just drive me insane about hiking and hikers. And it's just things that people need to stop doing. Wrote some things down here. One of these is one I was a little bit unsure of, so I thought maybe, Dan, maybe you're just the only one. Maybe you're the only one that thinks this way. Turns out I'm not, because I put out a poll on this earlier this week, and I found out that I'm definitely not the only one that thinks this way. But let's just get into the first one right away. So the first one is this. Things that you should stop doing. Things that you should just never, ever, ever do while you're hiking. Hikers, if you're doing this, please just don't. Messing with animals. Have you ever gotten to camp and you are just there? You're just starting to set up, and all of a sudden the critters and the creatures come out. They just seem to greet you, right? They're just so friendly, so nice. That's definitely not because they like you. They're not there because they think that you're super cool or that you're like Snow White frolicking through the woods. They're there because somebody else fed them before you got there. Let me give you an example why this is a bad idea. Feeding animals at your campsites. Just watch this. This one's just because it's right next to me. But this is my youngest son's backpack. Well, this was his first backpack. But look at this right here. See that hole right there in his hip belt pocket? That's because he left a candy wrapper in it, and the chipmunk chewed right through to get his candy wrapper. Now, why do you think the chipmunk knew right where to go? Because chipmunks and animals are trained. They're super smart. So if you get to a campsite, just stop feeding the animals that are there. I know it's easy to do. I know they're cute. I know they love to, be your friend and all those things. And you might feel like if you're especially solo hiking, that it's fun to have those little animals there, camping out with you. So you're going to toss them a peanut or something. Just don't do it. The other thing is that animals out there can actually get aggressive, surprise, surprise. So if you start to feed them, they may not be there because they want to be your friend. They may not like you very much. They can get aggressive, they can come after you, they can bite, and then you've got real problems. This not only puts you at risk, this puts the animal at risk as well, because wildlife managers are going to come out there and they may have to remove them and possibly put them down. So if you're feeding the animals, you might actually be killing them. So what can you do? You can properly store your food. You can put it in a bag, you can put it in a bear canister, you can put it in some type of a protective place where the animal's not going to be able to get to it, whether that's hanging up your food in a tree somewhere or hiding it off in the woods in a bear canister somewhere so that those animals can't get into it. And that way, if we're all collectively doing this, they're probably not going to come after the food or your campsite as often. Something that you should really stop doing, and this is the one that I was a little bit nervous to actually talk about because I thought maybe I'm the only one out there, or I didn't want to make people upset. Oh, and I took a poll on the community tab, like I mentioned earlier, and almost 6,000 people voted on it, and 80% of you agree with me. Stop driving other people nuts. Leave your Bluetooth speakers at home. Yes, the big reason is because it really does drive other people nuts around you. People are out there to enjoy nature and have the peace and quiet that it brings. But also, it's not just because people get annoyed by it, and it's not just because people don't want to listen to your favorite Taylor Swift song. But the U.S. National Park Service actually talks about this a little bit on their website and says this: many wildlife species rely on natural sounds for communication purposes, and disrupting those sounds can actually hurt their chances of survival. So I never really thought about this, but Taylor Swift might be killing the squirrels. But of course, there is a Bluetooth speaker that you probably should be getting. It's today's sponsor, Soundcore. One thing you probably don't know about me is that I RV camp almost as much as I go backpacking. And one place that it's actually okay to play music through a Bluetooth speaker is camping outdoors when you are RV camping on something like the Soundcore Motion Boom Plus. Make a statement with Motion Boom Plus. Press play and experience huge 80-watt stereo sound that's super clean even at high volumes. It's It's powered by dual woofers and tweeters. Motion Boom Plus effortlessly reproduces dynamic, crystal clear sound with deep bass and plenty of detail. It's IP67 waterproof, even if you're out on the water. Motion Boom Plus is fully waterproof and will even float back up to the surface if it's dropped in water. And it's equipped with 20 hours of playtime. It also has charge out to allow you to plug in your devices and charge while you're listening. Soundcore's bass up technology actually analyzes low frequencies and intensifies them in real time for huge bass.
Wait, can we hear that?
You want to hear it?
I really do.
Fine, let's go. What do you think?
Pretty good, dude.
Not bad, right?
Oh.
It's actually hurting my ears. Click the link in the description to check out the Soundcore Motion Boom Plus. Oh, and then we should probably get back to telling people what not to do while they're hiking. Let's do that. Being a complete moron with fires. You would think that this would be a pretty simple, obvious thing to not do when you're hiking or camping. It's not. Did you know that nearly 85% of all wildland fires out there are caused by humans? So not only are they a huge nuisance to people in places maybe out west in the United States where actual people are in harm's way because they may lose a house or their life because of a wildfire, but those fires have an intense amount of smoke that go across the entire United States and can be seen for states and states and states away. So there's a few ways that humans are starting the fire. One of them is actually just leaving your campfire completely unattended. Now, very few are intentional, but there are actual acts of arson that have been recorded, and those people are going to end up in prison if caught. And even if you've negligently started a fire that's demonstrated a huge amount of disaster, you're probably going to be fined and potentially put in prison yourself. So negligent fires would be things like people burning debris, or campfires left unattended, or people who smoke out in the wilderness and just don't put out their cigarettes completely. And some of them are caused by just malfunctioning equipment. Maybe your stove didn't work properly or something like that. So here's what I would suggest. If you are in an area where you're wanting to have a campfire, obviously don't have a campfire. If the local rules and laws, or just maybe there is a ban, don't have a fire in that situation. It's a really bad idea. There's a reason that those things are in place. It's not because people want to ruin your camping trip. It's because they don't want to have raging wildfires. So if you've had a campfire and it's been approved to have a campfire in your area, just know this, that even the white coals in your campfire are still extremely hot. They're so hot that oftentimes by morning, I can actually completely start a brand new fire without even using any type of ignition like a match or a fire starter. I just sort of dig down a little bit into the white coals, and you'll find that there's still hot coals enough to be able to start a brand new fire. So the best thing to do before you go to bed or before you even leave camp altogether is to spread those coals out as best as possible so that they have the ability to go out as much as possible. If there's water available, make sure you douse out that fire as much as possible before you call it a night or before you leave camp. If there is no water available, in a pinch, you can actually use sand or dirt to bury the fire, but you got to be really careful because that can actually insulate the fire and keep those coals burning hot deep down underneath that dirt. So all you really need to do then is spread out those ashes and mix it in with the dirt, and keep doing that until you are confident enough that that fire isn't going to ignite when you leave camp. Oh, and then one more thing, if you're in an area where you're allowed to have campfires, but maybe you have a campsite that you just sort of found yourself and you've created your own fire ring, do your best to make that place look like that fire never existed. That is actually a leave no trace principle, and you want to leave that environment like you've never been there. Okay, here's the last thing. Number 4, thing that drives me absolutely insane. It's they get out there and they end up leaving their crap. And I'm talking figuratively and literally. Okay, if you haven't heard this, open up your ears. You're going to hear it a lot in the hiking world. If you've packed it in, you should be packing it out. So after you've camped, walk around, do an inspection, do like a triple check. Have I left anything laying around? In my food prep area, did I spill a bunch of food and now there's a big pile of food there that needs to be spread out and dispersed as much as possible? And the other thing you gotta be careful of is if you do end up washing or rinsing like dishes and things like that, make sure you're doing that away from the campsite. Use biodegradable soap and disperse the leftovers as much as possible. Was there any trash that was left? Pick it up, put it in your backpack. But probably the worst about leaving your crap out there is that people actually leave their crap out there. Okay, if there's toilet facilities available, obviously you want to use them. But if you are out hiking and you've got to go and you're backpacking, get out and dig an actual cat hole. The proper way to do it is to dig it 6 to 8 inches deep and at least 200 feet away from all campsites, trails, and water. Then when you're done, you want to bury your crap as much as you possibly can and disguise it as much as you possibly can so there's a leave no trace situation happening. People just don't know that you were there. I will add this though, because if I were to change the leave no trace principles, I would actually leave a little bit of a trace. And what I actually do is I'll take a couple of sticks and make an X and just lay it right on top of where I buried my crap. So that way you don't end up digging up my crap. It's actually just nice to do because I've actually dug up people's crap before. It's horrible. I don't wish that on anyone. Also, many places require you to pack out your toilet paper and ladies, your hygiene products, so please do that. All right, guys, these were just some things that I thought I would share in today's video. Please don't be upset with me. If you agree with me, let me know in the comments below. If you disagree with me, I guess let me know in the comments below. Like this video. Also, subscribe to this video if you agree with me, and even if you don't. And we'll see you guys on the next one.